Here it is, guys. The first Triaros. Coming in with the airbrush after a light gray primer. Hitting it up with the old Vallejo airline. Looks like black steel. Just gonna come in, lay this thing down, getting all the little recesses, all the little cracks. This is gonna help big time in the later stages. Don't even worry about the overspray. That is dead to us. Just push forward, get it laid down. I just really wanted to control the color on this one, so that's why I didn't use like over-the-counter metallic in a aerosol spray can. I really just wanted this color specifically. It's my favorite dark metallic color. You really can't go wrong with any of the Vallejo airline. They're just so good. You see I'm just paying attention, getting it in the little crevices of the engine compartment, crushing those tracks out, getting it all over the place. Just, and here they are. Like, obviously got all three of them done. I'm trying not to bore you by doing the same thing for the next 20 minutes. So here's an interesting base color. I've only done this a couple of times. Vallejo Air Wood. This is actually their brown wood color. Now this just kind of came to me. I saw how it interacted in a couple of bases I've done in the past. So I really wanted to try it out here because I do plan on going up to a white. But it's going to be a grimier white. And like I said, just lay this on and don't even worry about getting it back on the stuff you just painted up. It's not what you're focusing on. You're not trying to tape anything off. Just throw it on there, cover the areas that you need to cover, because you will go in there with a paintbrush and wipe out all this overspray. It's super simple if you do it in this order. I find that you waste a lot of time trying to tape things off, using putty and all those other techniques that everyone else uses. If you just think about the order you want to do things in, you can save a lot of time with this laydown process. Now, obviously, not talking about cutting corners, we're talking about just how to line up your order of operations for the paint job. So now that I've laid down this wood, you can see it's drying a little darker. You can see where it's like definitely, if that was what was left in all the recesses in the corners, you would see it would be a very grimy, dingy base. I do like this color. I have used it to represent sand before and wood, and now I'm using it for a tank. So it's a very diverse color in my opinion. So we're going to come in here and we're going to start building up some of the highlights. I am going to pull out one of my favorite colors for the Vallejo airline, the US light gray. I just love this color. I don't know what it is. It's a really unique gray. And I'm just coming in there, building the highlights up and leaving some of that brown behind. And as you can see, it looks very natural. Like it has a very natural transition. It's subtle, but not too subtle. And it has contrast, but not contrast to the point of being, all speckled out and like almost jagged, like some of those airbrush transitions have a habit of doing when you're going too extreme. So just going in there, find all the raised areas kind of in the corners, pull that US Army light gray back into the browns. This is, slow it down a little bit, take your time, nurture this effect. Clean the airbrush in between stages, keep it nice and clean. Just using a standard toothbrush. And there you go. You see, we've undone a lot of the brown, but not all of it. It was a good base for this color. We obviously have the beginning of this white now starting to, come out. It's a cream right now, like a champagne even. But next, we're definitely we're gonna kick it up a notch here. We're gonna pull out Vallejo Air Whites. And we're going to just start subtly building that white into that US Army light gray. It's hard to see here because I am moving very slow and very subtle, but you can see it popping up now. And this is one of those colors. You definitely don't want to mess around with white. You're going to want to, every 10 seconds, 20 seconds, pulling it down, spraying it out, you're going to want to take your toothbrush and just quickly clean the tip of the needle. You don't want to let it go too long because it will disrupt the flow of the white. That's a huge thing when it comes to white. You have to keep that needle clear. It will just be a nightmare otherwise. You just got to take your time. And it's getting a nice little subtle. It looks like it's kind of glowing a little bit. It's the right kind of contrast. It's a fun color in my opinion. I think that building whites off of brown bases are really fun. A lot of people like to build them off of blue bases, but that to me, that's like the clean blue, the clean white. This is the dirty brown, the dirty white. So definitely could have done this whole thing with the blue base, but it wouldn't match the technical colors I'm going to use on the blade. Now we're moving on to painting some of the trim. Pulling out that same Vallejo Air Black metal. Love that color, like I said before. Pull it out and liberally apply it to all this trim. Just come in, don't overthink it. Use the correct portions of water. Get it kind of a little thinner than you're used to, but not too thin, obviously. Come in, lay it down. Very solid. We have a lot of things to do after that, so you don't want to linger on it. You don't want to get all obsessed, but you do want to be tight, clean. Move as fast as you can, but still be precise. You can come back from a couple of splatters. Like if you splatter some of this metal onto the white we just did, that's fine, because we are going to come in there with some of the technical colors like the typhus corrosions and stuff. So you don't have to be the tightest, you know, you're going to be in this whole process, but you do need to be at least a little methodical. Just, you know, one of the places I've realized I can save time is just a little bit of speed over quality on this stage. We're going to come through, we're going to paint all this trim. We're going to paint all these little hatches, all these little vents, all this stuff. I mean, there's a lot of little details on this thing that you're going to want to just hit them. You want to just be patient, do it, get it done. This is that grind. That's how everyone about this all the time. You know, this is where you want to just, this is where you're getting bored. You're getting bored right now. Pull your headphones out, listen to your audiobook, you know, submerge yourself in this technique. Get all these, you see, like here's this little vision panel, I don't know what to call it, like a porthole. Looks like it has a digital display though. I'll come in there and hit that detail up. Don't overthink it, like I can't reiterate that enough. Just get these solid colors painted down. And once you get all that done, I think we can move on to the next stage, which will be to continue using this color we're on and go back and wipe out some of this overspray we did earlier. I cannot say enough good things about this Vallejo Air Black. I use this all the time. There was another color I used to use in the Reaper line called Black and Steel. Very similar color, except it's not airbrush ready. This is airbrush ready and just paints on so smooth. But it has that look of that color I used to love from the Reaper series. Do yourself a favor and just go online and buy a bucket of Vallejo Air colors. They even have the new game colors, which are the same as, you know, their traditional line, but now, you know, designed to run through your airbrush. I have never been disappointed with these guys. Almost exclusively use them now. I used to use a lot of GW paints before, and I just used fewer and fewer of them as I go on. But I tell you, man, you can't go wrong with the technical colors from GW, nor the washes. They're my favorite. You can see we're still working on that detail process here. We're painting the side panels now, painting some of those little ladders, those little handholds for the guys that climb up on the sides of these tanks. You know, it's just a lot of little things you just have to focus on. Stay committed. You know, keep your hands steady. Now you can see it's all coming together. You can see that trim. You can see the little skulls on the sides, the bolts, everything. We're hitting it all. Long process. Keep your paintbrush clean. Don't use too much of a detail brush, even though you're doing some detail areas. You definitely want to use a little bit of like a notch above a detail brush here, because you don't have to overthink it. You don't have to worry about splattering it. And once you get to that stage here, you can see I even throw some color in those portholes, just so you can see what they're about. Pull out your airbrush again. We're gonna lay some blacks down. We gotta do those weird top carapace pieces that this tank comes with. I don't know. I think that they're the housing for I think they come with void shields or something like that. I don't play a lot of this 30K stuff. But I do know that these things are really hard to kill in the rules. Obviously, we're gonna use some grays. Throw some German gray in there, real subtle. I mean, like black, you don't have to overthink it. Paint it black, a subtle gray highlight, call it done. Don't go crazy here. The next stage is gonna be one of my favorite stages. Typhus corrosion time. We're gonna slather that typhus corrosion in all up on these tracks. Coming thick, coming gangster with it. I mean, I'm addicted to this technique here. I order this by the dozen at this point, man. This is like just the best for this type of dirty, grimy treads. I haven't found a technique that I enjoy more than this for doing weathering on treads. Come in, get it in all the little crevices, switch to a smaller brush to get it in the area between the canopy and the treads. Remember, use brushes that you're okay with ruining, because typhus corrosion is not good for paintbrushes, but still worth it. I have 2 or 3 typhus corrosion paintbrushes I use that are all different sizes. I have one that's really small that I use to speckle in some of those effects. This is probably my medium-sized typhus brush. So as you can see here, it's just, it's a liberal base coat. We're going to let that dry. In the meantime, though, we're going to start slathering some washes in on some of the metals that we did. I'm just using a little non-oil mixed with a little Earthshade GW line. They're still my favorite washes. So we're going to go through and we're going to wash all the metal details that we laid down. Nice, slow, get them in the cracks. Don't spill it out. It's important to do this very methodically. Once you're done with this, that'll be it for this video. We're going to let everything dry, and then the next stage will be very interesting, very technical, and I have a lot more to talk about on this tank. Alright guys, let's crush out part 2 of the Mechanicus Triaros. As you can see here, starting to slap some of the trim on these armor pieces. Just did that real quick, super fast overview. But we're moving right into the dry brush stage. We're going to just straight dry brush Vallejo steel all up over this typhus corrosion that we laid down in these tracks. You guys have seen me do this before. This is still one of my favorite techniques. It comes out so good. It's so hard to match this, time, quality, all that assessment. Like, you can't match this effect. It's so good. It's so easy to do. And as you can see, it's coming together very antique. It's a lot of depth to the model. The typhus corrosion is looking really fresh on there, and the raised surfaces are getting hit with that dry brush. It is everything you want in a weathered track. That's pre-technical effect, obviously. And we're just going to go straight into dry brushing the side panels, going all out, that just go straight beast mode. We're going to do more to it later, but this is the groundwork. You got to get your dry brush game on lock. It is such an easy technique. You can Google it. You can watch a million YouTube tutorials about how to do it. I try to condense it here. I'm not trying to linger on it too hard. But we are going to dry brush these vents too. Just come in with a little bit more sloppier dry brush. Just kind of streakier. You don't dry off the paint as much, because I'm going to come back over with some of the rust effects anyway. So I want to make sure that I have enough paint loaded up in my brush that I can actually get this effect done with only a few strokes. And we're going to move right into the RZA rust stage. This is the best rust in the biz right now. But you have to come in and control this. You can't just sponge this on. I'm going to come in with a paintbrush, and I'm going to control the application here. This is going only where I want it to go. No messing around here. You can't cut a corner when you do this. It won't look good if you randomize it with a sponge. You got to put it in the right spots. Find those little areas where the bolts all come together. Where things taper off. Just got to spend time with it, use the right brush, be patient, put your music on, jam out, and get it done. Hopefully this is a good guide to where to put the rust. I try not to overthink it though, so full disclosure, I'm not a scientist. I don't know where rust goes. and take a look at this tank, by the way. This is a huge tank. I was not prepared for how massive these Triaroses are. But they are cool looking. They look like giant trains, and they just bust things up when they ram into them. Just taking my time, slowing my roll, bringing that rust in all the spots I want. I do like to go kind of heavy though. I like to feather the rust and then make sure that my points are very orange, because it's just so striking. Such a fun color. Now we're going on the tracks. This is a rehearsal and consistency. Find the rhythm you want to be in, like where you want the rest to be, and just see how fast you can do that the same way over and over again. And that's what I'm doing here on these tracks. Very simple when you think about it like that. Just moving along, and you can see the left track is done, and it looks really good. It looks like exactly how you'd expect a beat up but yet used track, you know, on some ridiculous off-world, you know, corrosive environment. So I'm not a scientist, I don't know what these things do. But like, take a look at these portals on the top too, man. Like, this thing has got a lot of interesting details. I really found myself just hobbying out on the Triaros, having a lot of fun with it, you know? It was not easy to paint, but it was fun to paint. Sometimes you need one of those. Here's a step that I always talk about. You got to come back in with the Typhus corrosion and sponge it back on over some of the places you got a little too heavy-handed with the orange. And that's what I'm doing here. Just a little piece of pluck and pull foam. Some Typhus corrosion. Just sponge it on. Just go heavy. And then now come back to the oxide effect. Pulling out that teal oxide, use a little bit of water, thin it down. Go in, apply it liberally, but watery, to all the spots that you think it should go. Scientifically, of course. So just always remember, be liberal, but also be methodical with this effect. This effect is a game changer, but it can also punish you. Try to make sure you have some water ready to go, use the right kind of brush, and be ultimately patient. Super patient. You know, this is the grind, you know what I mean? Like, this is where you just have to zone out, do the same thing every time, just get it done. Knock it out. I do have a few other videos on how to do these technical effects. Don't forget to check out the video library under tutorials playlist, and you will see that I have at least 2 other videos where I utilize these effects. And I mean, take a look at it. I mean, it looks beat up, man. And now I'm going to take that oxide into some of these creases and some of these lines, and I'm just going to put it in there. I don't even care. Like, science, you know what I mean? Just going to go in there, lay it down, try to cultivate the effect that I'm looking for, and just go out on a limb, man. See if it works, you know? Sometimes you just got to be, you know, you got to explore. Go, you know, but don't half-ass an effect. I mean, like, we're committed to this effect. You got to go everywhere you think this oxide would be. All these control panels, everything on the side. Just come in, get it done. Slow, methodical, but pay attention and be liberal with this application process. Like I said, just got to get deep in there. This is also a good way to kind of cover your ass on some like spillage and some overspray. I'm going in deep, and I'm just kind of, you know, marrying 2 little areas together in some situations. Like, you can use this to really help break up weird spots in the model. Something that you might have gotten caught up, like, I don't know what to do here. This is what you do there. Come in, find a spot for it, get it done. I love these weathering effects. These GW, they got it done. Anyway, let's move on to these little shield generators. You've seen me do this before. We're going to drop some OSL technique on these little void shields. Meridia's blue. That's my heat. And we're going to couple that off with Arcane Blue. These are both Privateer Press P3 formula paints. Start always with the darker blue, go to the lighter blue, and then eventually go to white. That is essentially OSL in a nutshell. Spill it out dark, bring it in light to the center, and it radiates out. Then eventually just a little pure white in the center, and then all of a sudden, oh my God, it's glowing. I mean, it's so easy. But you got to be subtle with it. You can't go crazy. Next, we're going to pull out some Harvest Brown Reaper Master Series. I'm going to start browning up some of these areas on the side of this tank. And then we're going to pull out Orange Brown from the Reaper Master Series. And we're going to keep that brown alive. You'll see, like, it's starting to look really gritty in there. This is a fun technique. The harvest brown and orange brown are the two most important browns that any hobbyist can possibly buy. Go online, buy them right now. You will thank me and you're welcome in advance. They're just so good. And here's the orange brown. Coming in, spotting on some nuts, some bolts, coming in, hitting the little creases in there. This really drives home the rust effect. I mean, this is such a good color. That, like I said, once again, that's Reaper Orange Brown Reaper Master Series. You see I'm coming in, dropping it off on some of those weird, that weird ram it has coming into the tracks. You can really just start blending all the techniques together with this final airbrush technique. Works so well. And then, of course, you got to finish off with black. Come in there and just burn out some of the final pieces with black. You'll thank me for it later. Vallejo Air Black. Best black in the game. Some people don't agree with me on it, but hey, buying a water eclipse, you'll probably be happy with Vallejo Air Black. Yeah, the Power 3 when doing an airbrush weathering technique. Harvest brown, orange brown, and black. Can't go wrong with it. Let's jump right into the add-ons though. We're going to use Vallejo Black Metal. We're just going to blast these things up. Just go to town. Crush them all out. You can see what we have here. Something pretty simple. And we're going to come in with a light dry brush. You guys remember the dry brush technique? Once we dry, I mean, I'm not even going to show you how to dry brush. But what we're going to do now is OSL those little plasma coils. Same technique we used before on the void shields. Meridian blue, arcane blue, and white. Very simple, but adds a lot to the model. Once we're done with all that though, we're going to use glazes. A glaze gets the job done. It's like a wash but brighter. Come in, make sure you get the OSL right. Make sure you let it dry though. That's another little gem. Don't sit there and glaze it right after you finish airbrushing it. You'll just end up ruining everything. I won't even show you the glaze stage. Take my word for it. That's glazed right there. It OSL'd, we glazed it, done. You saw I even started painting out some of the details on the skull. Didn't really have time to show you all those little processes, but as you can see, what we have here is a really cool model with a bunch of fun little details on it. Take a look at my gallery. I've got a billion pictures of this. nextlevelpainting.net. Check out the galleries. Check out all the close-ups, etc., etc. Thanks for checking out that video. Don't forget, I've got tons of other tutorials in the archives, and I do this every week for free. If you're looking for an ad-free experience, check out thelongwar.net. All these videos come out a week early with exclusive access and exclusive downloads and ad-free. Also, check out my best friend Rob Bear at Spiky Bits and of course the Long War YouTube channel for all the freshest battle reports. Thanks for watching.